HaKadosh Baruch Hu engineers things so that you have to do what you're supposed to. If you refuse to do it for the right reason, then you'll do it for the wrong reason, right? Like that there are things that this war has gotten the security establishment to do, for example, that they could have been doing already, and they would have refused to do if it were somehow their elective choice in how they pursue a strategy. So, to put it concretely, it's just been amazing to see all of these units going around, like taking whole strips of houses and mosques and villages and whatever and blowing them sky high. And then why do they have to do that? Right? Why is the quote unquote most moral army in the world going around and doing that? It's because of all the tunnels, because all of these houses and mosques or whatever are, brimming with rockets and munitions and whatever, and booby traps and tunnels connected to enemy bases, etc. And so they have to do it, right? So if you had said, oh, well, maybe what you should do, because you have enemies here and this is our land and our job is to conquer the land so that we can keep the Torah in the land, is we should say, okay, we'll offer you peace and then you can, have peace on our terms, or you can run away. Or then if you want to fight, then here's how we're going to fight. If we beat you, then we're going to blow all this stuff sky high and start over, and this is going to be ours, right? We would not have simply said that's going to be our approach to how we conquer the land. And so HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave us enemies who are so diabolical in the way that they fight us that now we are forced to do the same thing out of a prudential calculation, like, well, I have no choice but to, string explosives through this whole village or whatever and demolish it, because otherwise I can't even manage to secure my basic safety. So it's one of many instances where I think you start off by trying to refuse to do the part of what HaKadosh Baruch Hu commands that you don't want, and then he will rearrange circumstances so that you start to see it as your only choice. And sometimes that can be extremely painful because obviously, when you are being coerced, it's because you're in a much more dire circumstance in some way.
It is quite stunning to note that some of the people pressing these buttons in the military are actually people that are on the progressive side of the spectrum, but simply are forced to do what they never imagined they would be doing.
Exactly. I mean, again, back to the recent conquest of Syrian territory. Syria has been a far inferior military power to Israel for a long time now. And according to a different kind of calculus about how things should go in the Middle East, there wasn't really any reason that we shouldn't have conquered some of Syria years ago. We had the power to do it. They're our sworn mortal enemy. And so we should be punishing them for being our sworn mortal enemy by taking things from them and not giving them back, right? But we didn't do that. And we didn't do that because that looks bad, because we, of course, have no desire to conquer land, and we, of course, have no desire to act aggressively, etc., right? And all of this kind of self-regard of what good post-Christian Western countries are supposed to act like, which it turns out they only act like until push comes to shove. But the point is that we now are in a circumstance where even the sort of left-leaning top brass of the army, in the matter of days, it was just, oh, yep, all right, we have to conquer the rest of the Syrian Golan. No choice about that. And the number of things that had to happen for us to reach the point where we would do something like that, one would have wished for a different circumstance. If we had been willing to strike Iran 10 years ago over peanuts, then a whole lot of this might have not been necessary because of how afraid they would have been to do much less to us than what they eventually did.